You're watching FemVids, I'm Shawn Rolls, and today we're just gonna talk, you and me. First, I guess we'll start from the beginning when it comes to our catch-up, and this subject is a little bit woolly. It's the feminist black sheep anniversary, or at least it was on the 17th. Shazia, feminist black sheep Usman, had a launch for her most recent zine that I may be in, that examined the concept of what it means to be free. Now, a number of women contributed to this and found ways of expressing themselves. A couple of the contributors actually shared with me at the beginning of the event itself, saying, or more or less having a talk about what it actually meant and the difficulty maybe that they might have had during their writing process. It was very interesting, and when I talked to Shazia, who I've known for quite a long time, I felt really humbled to be part of this group of women that I guess more or less came forth to share stories. A number of these women, their sharing was a lot more personal, I think, maybe, than mine. I joked about bras, and other people had more serious issues to discuss, which just reminded me how important it is for safe spaces for women to talk about their experiences. So if you have any real questions about the feminist black sheep, hold on just a second, because I actually did catch up with Shazia towards the end of the evening, and here's what she had to say.
So first and foremost, what is feminist black sheep?
I guess to me the feminist black sheep is all about she's this really cool, quirky feminist who doesn't live by the rules, who does what she wants, is very free, and she's very creative, she's very empowering, she has a great set of friends, and that really motivates her, and she's a big reader, she loves to read, and I guess for her, the best thing that she can ever do for herself and for others is to really create enabling environments where everybody that she comes into touch with, who work with her, who she collaborates with, feels included and feels empowered enough to create things on their own. So I guess that's what feminist black sheep is.
So how do you feel about today?
I was very excited about today. For me, it's really important to give back. It's been a great year. I mean, the dream was very important to me, and I knew that, I guess somehow I knew it would be a success because I was giving it 100%. So success for me is something that I'm happy with at the end. But then when I started doing it, and then a lot of my friends started supporting me, buying my products, and actually coming up with their own design ideas, coming to me, coming up with empowering quotes, to me that was even more amazing. And every week I'll be working on a new design where somebody said that, I want this, but I want it for this, and I'd be like, wow, like people are so excited. So I guess tonight was just to thank everyone, because so many people, I was going through my order book and I was looking at everybody who's ever bought stuff from me, and there's so many people who couldn't be here tonight because a lot of them actually live overseas, so I've been sending stuff overseas, and a lot of people are not in Suva. So I guess tonight was all about giving back.
So where to from here? It's only been a year.
Where to from here? I have a lot of things bubbling in my head, and sometimes I just want to take my brains out and like look at all the things that are happening. But I guess from making cards and blogs and stuff like that and canvases, I've been writing stories for a while for kids as well. A lot of people commission me to write stories for kids, which is really interesting. And I really wanted to have another space where people were more involved. So the zine was really important for me, because I don't want just my story out there, I want everybody's stories out there, and everybody loved it. They really wanted, I know people want to write, people want to talk, so I thought that packaging something really beautifully and giving it to people, hey, this is your story, will really motivate them to share their feelings. I mean, for example, Ala shared a really personal piece about her dad, and for me, I was very conscious that it's really personal, and I asked her, do you want your name on it, do you want to read it? And she was quite owning it, and she got really emotional, which really made me really emotional. But for me, I think all the stuff that she's gone through, I mean, although I don't know if I should say this, but I feel like maybe she's this process is sort of helping her come to terms with the grief that she has. So I guess that's something that is really important for the feminist Black Sheep. But a really creative projects that my friends and I were thinking about. One is a short-term one is a long-term one. The short-term one is I wanted a lot of creative artists, especially young women, to get together and have an art market, sort of like the Rock in Fiji, but like with more young women, because a lot of people are not able to have enough networks, etc., to sell their stuff and be recognized. So I wanted to do that. Another thing I wanted to do was I wanted to do a series of stories or collection, like an anthology of documenting the stories of Indo-Fijian women, because I really feel that Indo-Fijian women are not really visible in our media, and we all live very diverse lives. We're not all bahoos and we're not all cooking, and we're not like all heavily married. Some of us are in our 30s and 40s and we're living like really amazing lives. And I really wanted to document that story, so I wanted to do something along that line. So hopefully, but the feminist Black Sheep can never do things alone, and she doesn't want to do things alone. So it's really important that, the support that from the rest of the people continues.
So, while the latest zine was a space for young women to share their voices and to empower themselves, our second catch-up article for the day is the release of the guide to voting. So, I guess we pretty much finished talking about the zine now, and we're gonna move on to this. It is my guide to voting, as it says right here, and is the culmination of work done by young women from around the country coming together at the Young Women's Forum. FemVid's covered the first two, and I believe the third Young Women's Forum is going to take place in the near future. But really, this book answers a lot of questions for a lot of young people when it comes to things like remembering the date, or even what makes a good leader. It's more of like a 101 for democracy for a lot of people, because, as many people seem to forget, it's been 8 years since the last general elections, and a lot of first-time voters haven't necessarily grown up in a democracy, so we don't really know how the systems work. I was happy enough to contribute a little bit of something. That's this. It is an illustration of the proposed setup for polling stations. So there are about 4 different points of interaction, from verifying your voter status to receiving your ballot paper to polling stations to the final stop, which is getting a little bit of ink on your finger, which apparently doesn't come off for 5 days, as according to the son of the Indian High Commissioner, the Indian High Commission, which has actually donated this ink. And then you hand in your ballot paper and your vote becomes a vote. Even to simple things like how do you actually mark your ballot paper is something in here, and it's actually really helpful, because one of the newest things for the rest of the country to come to terms with is that we have a completely different electoral system now. This kind of covers a 101 and becomes a talking point for a lot of young people, especially young women, which is incredibly important, and it's a great tool, I guess. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about today is the International Day of Friendship. While it seems like a really fluffy-duffy concept, the basic point is that communities sometimes don't get along. People sometimes don't get along. So I guess the International Day of Friendship is a day that's supposed to promote peace in a kind of a nice soft way, saying that we are all really a community that is global, or global community, and we need to embrace that and find friendship and kinship and common ground with one another. You see the way that conflict affects things, from conflict within families to conflict that's exploded and results in things like the current conflict in Gaza, and it's just crazy. And you wonder how people can be okay with conflict, and there really is no way to be okay with conflict. At the end of the day, it's just like health. You know, prevention is better than cure, and I guess that's what we try to do, at least with community media, with trying to highlight the fact that you need diversity in decision making to be a contribution to the prevention of peace, because when everybody takes part in deciding what happens, it's probably going to be for the best, and you're going to upset people a lot less, or at least you're going to find ways to stop people from being upset with whatever decision is being made at the end of the day. So, you know, friendship. So, today we talked about zines, we talked about voting, and we talked about friendship and the need to bring people together, whether it is about sharing stories, whether it is about learning how voting works, finding ways that people can express themselves and be heard are all important parts of living in the world that we live in today. This has been another FemVid. I've been Sean Rolls. Thanks for watching.